Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Gregory and Thomas. It's Friday night here. It's Friday afternoon where Thomas is. We have had the weigh-in for Canelo Alvarez versus John Ryder. We've had all the build-up. We've had the press conference as well. Around just over 24 hours to go until fight night, gents. Interested to get kind of just what's going on inside your head, really. Just kind of, are you looking forward to this fight? We'll do some predictions in a bit, and we'll chat a bit about a couple of other things as well. Thomas, I'll go to you first. Obviously, we know Canelo's the big favorite for this fight. How I know your knowledge of John Ryder might be a bit limited. I wouldn't blame you if it was. He's not one of Britain's well known fighters. To be fair, what are your thoughts on this fight? How excited are you?
Uh, to be honest, I'm expecting Canelo to get the job done pretty handily. Um, I, not wasn't really too excited for this fight, to be honest. I always look forward to watching Canelo, and I'm looking forward to see, an upset's always good. So I'm looking forward to see if John Ryder can pull it off. And he's pulled off the upsets before with Daniel Jacobs. So and he didn't beat Calvin Smith, but he gave it a good go and made it a competitive fight. So we'll see what happens, but I'm expecting Canelo to win this pretty handily.
Yeah, we'll see. I think there's a lot of people here who, when this fight was announced, people were a bit iffy, but now we've got to it. There's a lot of talk about it. People from the UK will be staying up for this fight. It will be happening very late in the early hours of Sunday morning, but there is interest in this fight. It's a very interesting part of Canelo's career, and people are asking, what has Canelo got left? Now, the same John Ryder, as you mentioned, had that fantastic win over Danny Jacobs a year ago. I think he's one of kind of Britain's most underrated fighters. A lot of people thought he beat Callum Smith a while ago. So yeah, looking forward to it. Greg, not really spoken to you about this fight too much. Tell us your thoughts going into it. What do you expect?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Elliot. This is a fight that I'm looking forward to. I think it will be exciting. I think both guys have got similar build, similar height. John Ryder comes to fight. Canelo has got the class. I think this is a little bit more live than what people are giving it credit for. John Ryder is a good fighter. And Thomas, I don't blame you for not knowing an awful lot about John Ryder, but John Ryder has done things the hard way in his career. And, although Canelo is coming off the win against a very faded Triple G, this is a good fight. It's a really good fight. And I'll be honest, I think it's a 75-25 in Canelo's favour. But, I'm excited for it. I'm Elliot.
Yeah. I think there's nothing quite like when a British fighter goes to the USA or Mexico in this example and is
Yeah.
facing a pound for pound star. I think there's always a bit of a buzz. There's always a bit of excitement. I remember it happening when Billy Joe Saunders went to the States to fight Canelo. There was that buzz, and maybe not as big, but there is still that buzz here that John Ryder has a chance in this fight. I think you mentioned 75-25. I'd go with that. I think for me, it's 75-25. It's not kind of 95-5 or 99-1. I would say I would go with that as well. Thomas, are you leaning more towards kind of saying what you kind of said before, that you're really confident Canelo's going to do the job here? Like, what would, compared to Greg saying he's 75% sure Canelo's going to win this fight, what would your version of that be?
Well, I think I feel pretty confident Canelo is going to get the job done, but I think um, John Ryder will have a really good chance if he, gets the volume going and outworks Canelo and steals some of, especially the early rounds. I feel like Canelo, as good as he is, he tends to just fall in love with his power and kind of take his time a little bit. And I think that it can cost him some rounds.
Mm.
So if John Ryder takes advantage of that, then I can definitely see it being a competitive fight. But I don't know. I definitely it would be hard for me to see him getting past the. He would have to withstand the power of Canelo for 12 rounds.
Yeah.
So that's a tough deal right there.
Yeah, very, very big ask indeed. Just a couple more questions, chaps. I feel like we don't need to touch too much on the weigh-in. I don't think there was going to be much possibility that either fighter weren't going to make weight, in my opinion. Both fighters have fought at middleweight in the past. Both fighters have made weight. We know that the official weigh-in, whatever you want to call it, was actually a few hours ago. Discussed it off air, but is what it is. Both fighters have made weight. I'd like to think both fighters looked good. We're on for tomorrow. That's that analysis wrapped up. Thomas, back to you. If all of us are expecting Canelo to win tomorrow, boxing fans being boxing fans are going to ask what's next. Give me the one fight you want to see, not the one fight you think we're going to see. Do you want to see him in that Bivol rematch? Do you want to see him face David Benavides, someone else? What's the one fight for you want to see Canelo fighting next if he beats John Ryder tomorrow night?
Yeah, stay away from the bowl and fight David Benavides. I think that's the one. And he's the rightful contender for the championship. And I would, if I were Canelo, I would just stay away from the bowl. I would think fans would be much more interested in a Canelo versus Benavides fight anyway. So let's see that one.
Yeah, we'll see. Dave Benavides obviously got a good win over Caleb Plant recently, an undefeated super middleweight, much younger than Canelo, taller than Canelo. So yeah, maybe we'll see that fight next, or if not next, we'll see it in the next 12 months. Greg, what are your thoughts? What's the one fight you want to see Canelo later in 2023?
Yeah, I think I want to see Bivol again at 175, and he will beat Bivol at 175.
That's the closest I've seen Thomas to coming to disagreeing with someone on on his channel. That's a topic for a different video. I think that from what we're hearing this week, it sounds like Canelo is desperate for that Bivol rematch. It sounds like we are going to see that next if he comes out unscathed tomorrow night. And we will see what happens. The two of you can have a debate ahead of that fight. I'm looking forward to it. Final question, chaps. Going to ask for a final prediction for tomorrow night. Tell me in a nutshell how this fight goes down. Greg, going to start with you. What happens tomorrow night?
Yeah, thanks, Elliot. I think it's a really tough fight tomorrow in terms of trying to predict the outcome exactly. Because Thomas, as you know, Canelo stopped Rocky Fielding in 3 rounds. Rocky Fielding holds a win over John Ryder, but John Ryder is a different animal compared to that. Now, I'm favouring Canelo to win by stoppage in the second half of the fight, but I think that John Ryder needs to change his style up a little bit in the first half of the fight. It needs to come in 2 stages. He can't just go in, tap his forehead. I talked to Elliot Grigg about this earlier. He can't just come in. He needs to be smart about it. If he is, I think it's a competitive fight, but I think Canelo stops him in the second half of the fight.
Canelo's second half of the fight. Thomas, tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, I think Canelo will get a late round stoppage. I don't think he will necessarily. Well, we'll see if, like I said, if John Ryder can really, get the punches going and get the volume going and actually steal some of the rounds. He might be able to make it competitive, but I feel like eventually Canelo's going to get to him, break him down, and we'll see probably a late round stoppage.
Yeah, no, good stuff. I'm going to join in as well. I think can't see this fight going the distance. However, I think John Ryder could give a good account of himself, could possibly win some of the early rounds, but I'm going mid to late rounds. I'm going kind of rounds. I'll go rounds 6 to 8. But I think John Ryder could give Canelo some problems, could actually win some rounds. But I just think that Canelo's power, Canelo's engine will be the difference there. But as I mentioned earlier in this video, it's a really interesting part of Canelo's career. He's about to turn 33. He's had a lot of fights. not his best performances the last couple of fights. So it's a really pivotal moment in his career, and whether the best is yet to come is to be decided. Greg, Thomas, great to be joined by both of you. Really looking forward to this one. Been great to get some final predictions from both of you and a bit of a breakdown. And yeah, we will see what happens tomorrow night. Canelo Alvarez versus John Ryder for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us, Elliot.